Live and learn.
Live and learn.
Season 6. It's all around living and learning together and getting inspired.
Whenever you think it is appropriate for you to see the depths of growth mindset, the depths of live and learn philosophy, just join and enjoy. So welcome to our season 6, Live and Learn with us.
Live and learn.
Good morning. How are you doing, Nina? Hi, nice to see you. What a pleasure.
Hi, hello. Hi, hello is how we greet our listeners with our virtual visit card. And yes, hi, hello. Doing fine. Doing what I like doing, what I prefer doing, as you already know. And that makes a day good, that makes a week good, and wish all our listeners a good start of the week as well.
Beautiful start of the week, beautiful plans, ideas. So we quite recently republished the episode on making the New Year resolutions. And do you guys still remember what you put into your resolution list? Try to comment under the video or any social media you're using. Do you still remember what was in your resolution list, and have you tried to accomplish something? How do you choose what to prioritize and what to prefer?
How to prioritize what to put first, what to put on numerous lists like wish list, bucket list, challenges, New Year resolutions being one of these. And some studies show that people hardly remember what they put on their resolutions list in February.
One of the things is that we tend to eradicate everything that we have to do, must do, as something that we do not own. This was one of the ideas that we recommended in our episode. Try to change the I have to accomplish this goal in 2022, for example, by I need to focus on, or I want to focus on achieving this, and this. I want to spend more time. I want to spend more finance, time, dedication, focus on achieving this or that. And depending on your preference and depending on urge as well, that is something that you would naturally prioritize because you would want to make it happen. And in this case, of course, revising your goals and your needs might be a much better idea than making a one-time list of the resolution.
And then going through this list and being sad about not having achieved something, or being stressed out because there is still so much to do on the list. And we are not so realistic, actually, when we plan things for the week, for a term, for a year. We're not so realistic. We need to revise. We need to be more agile about goal revision and time revision. We really need to see how much time we actually spend on doing what we'd planned to do, and still being agile about these things. Like, okay, I plan to spend an hour recording a podcast episode. Then I need to revise how much time we have really spent recording and how much time we need to edit and to publish. And that's all the things that need constant revision, and also the revision of not only what and how much we do, but also whether we still want to do it, whether we still are curious, interested, all our keywords that we keep on repeating in our episodes. And when you say depending on the wish and the urge for me being the thing that we personally need, not because we have to. Really, this is important. Not because we have to, being motivated by some outer forces, but the urge that comes from inside, from curiosity, from what I put above or before other things that might be on my list, that might have been put on my list but by somebody else, and then I choose to do that or not to do.
That's why in the HR world, we're having this topic of motivation, intrinsic motivation specifically, going out of the most used concepts or terms. And now we have the ownership, we have the satisfaction, we have the employee experience. Trying to rename the things might be helpful to understand that different approaches can be applied to the very same thing, right? How to bring our intrinsic inner motivation, what we want to do. So when we're talking about dedication, when we're talking about ownership, great commitment, suddenly those things are becoming really personal and are becoming personally crafted, tailored for yourself when you decide to do this for yourself, by yourself, and for your own sake.
Absolutely. If we just pay attention to how we talk, we can also notice these things. When we need a stimulus, if we recall the initial meaning, the origin of the word stimulus, it used to be a stick that moved cattle forward, or a donkey that needed to proceed the way needed a stick in order to move on. That was a stimulus, and that's the initial meaning. When I say I need a stimulus to do something, I don't like to think in these terms. No, I don't need a stimulus. I need preferences. Excuse my Latin is our constant part of our episodes. Preference comes from prefer, from Latin praefere, to carry something before, or to carry something in front of me. So this is what I choose to put forward, or what I, as you like to say, Julia, to prioritize. What I put before.
I had right now an insight. So what you're saying is prior comes from the word, like prefer comes from the idea of prior.
Put first.
Yeah. And then the word prioritize then becomes the word with the same meaning in the end.
Actually, that's interesting. I'm checking it out now. This is a late 14th century word, priority. And the priority is a state of being earlier than something else, prior occurrence or existence. Yeah, so a priority is something that appears or occurs first, while preference keeps a more active aspect. Yeah, if I prefer, I actively put something forward. When I prioritize, this is a late word formation, making the active use of priority. Yeah, while priority in its earlier use was something that appeared earlier. Something that appeared, that turned in my way, I don't know, earlier than something else. And this is what I deal with first, just because it occurred to be the first thing I bumped into.
Yeah, it's interesting because we would tend to think of the words prefer like liking, right? So that where you have your inner willingness to deal with something first, right? But when we have a priority in this initial meaning, that means that not necessarily it's a thing of liking or of importance, but something that appeared first, right? So, for example, if you just open your mailbox and you see the emails that come first, so they would be a priority in this Latin understanding. But when we're talking about, okay, so this is a list of the emails I need to deal with, then I need to prioritize which to address first. So then it is like an additional meaning that evolved through the centuries, right?
Just like stimulus or stimulation became something different when we started addressing it more personally, still it keeps the initial meaning. Also, I think it's a cool thing how we change the use of a word using the active verb to prioritize, while initially it had nothing to do with your active deeds about it.
It's more like a fate in the earlier times, right? So this happened to be first, right? This happened to be first on my way.
It's not me to choose. It's the fate or just a coincidence or whatever you might call it. Yeah, something that appears in your way is to be addressed first. And then when we change our attitude to what we do, to how we approach things, we choose, nowadays at least, we choose to be the actors. And then our language also reflects this, which I find particularly interesting.
Life is the theater and we're the actors.
Also a different meaning of actors. Yeah, well, now actors more and more owns the meaning of doing, of making decisions, of being the first to act on a scene, on political scene, on a scene of a society, whatever. Yeah, actors in the theater were not active at all. They just followed the will of playwright, didn't they? That could lead us to actively choosing not to do something.
Deprioritize?
Not to prioritize some of the things that happen to be on our way, just not to read the book that everyone's reading around. I choose not to do that. If everyone around is watching that movie, I'm not always going to prioritize that over some other personal preferences that I have, right? Or I might choose, yes, to watch the movie that everyone's talking about because that's my active choice. And it can also be my active choice not to do so because why should I? Yeah, if it just happens on my way, if it's just the book everyone's talking about, or if it's just the field of professional activity that everyone's into, I'm not into it. I don't have to. I don't know, if everyone fancies going to that party, I don't have to necessarily prioritize this over sleeping if I'm tired and feel this is my need now, and so on.
Yeah, but you need to have a very strong sense of self-awareness for this and self-management for this. And
when we think it's hard work, it does not mean we should not do that just because it's hard. Maybe it's the other way around. Requiring effort, this could be really the thing that is worth doing.
I somehow came back to the research that I saw, specifically because one of my students said, well, how am I supposed to end this semester if now I need to read 12 books, 4,000 pages each just before the exam? How am I supposed to prioritize which to do? And it's just 2 weeks before the exams. How am I supposed to do this? That was weird to hear because the whole semester long, somehow this question didn't arise in the priority list. But in the same time, we have on top of the books that you have as a reading list for each discipline in the university, in the business school. Now we have a pile of videos that we are obliged to record and that are stored in the university realm only for this, hopefully, group. So now my students say that, I need to rewatch the videos again. And I was puzzled to hear this because, it's a new reality. I've never had a course of, 50, 60 hours, and that's not the only course, right? So they have 7, 8, 10 disciplines like this. And for me, that was a shock. Oh my goodness, what kind of stress that should be for the first year students who need to accommodate somehow to this new reality. And they say, I need to rewatch the videos. I'm saying, why would you need to do this? If I missed something, or if I didn't watch the video, or if I want to keep up with the thing. And then I try to understand why they're so stressed, because they have lists, they have topics, they have new semester in a new city, in a new country. They have their own housing problems, accommodation problems, because they are living now in a big city, in a capital of another country. And then they have those hundreds and hundreds of 2-3 hour long lectures to watch. Then you would be having quite a strong urge to check your priorities and preferences, and to think how to not only do self-management but also time management.
This is one of the things I'm noticing very much in students who are about to take their exams, when they say, oh, now is the period of time when I'm so stressed out because I have to take all those exams, I have to sit for them and study and revise and so on, while actually doing the same stuff they normally do during the semester without the exams being so near, but with the stress of having to do all that revision work and whatsoever. When I ask students who come up with this stress of the exams being so near and having to sit for them, when I ask them, okay, so how much time a day do you actually dedicate to studying? Turns out it's the same maximum of 3 hours a day that they were spending on studying during the semester. And so what's the stress about? It's about having to do things that you still don't do. And then the question is, why don't you just live your normal life, studying the same 3 hours a day and, showing your performance at the level of how much you've invested into learning? All right. Or else, if you choose to invest more time into learning now when the exams are so close, then do that. Don't just lament on not having enough time. You've got the same amount of time every day, including the week before the exams. I don't see the point, honestly, in complaining about not having enough time instead of spending this time on learning if you really feel there's the urge to do so. Yeah, do you see what I mean?
What I normally, yeah, sure. What I normally do in the first weeks of the new group, I try to highlight how many hours are there in the program for our contact hours, how many hours for their homework, and it turns out that they have more or less roughly to all the subjects the same amount of time that they are supposed by the curriculum to attribute to each discipline. And then I'm saying, like, guys, when you see your schedule and you see that you have half a day, that means that the other half a day you're supposed to study the same subjects or the subject for the next day and so on, so that you need to do this time management for this. As well, I'm trying to convey the idea that you need to schedule this. You need to schedule preparation time for each subject within each week. And then suddenly you will see that your week is not half empty, but totally full. Then you will find all those time when in the end of semester, like 50 hours to get prepared. Where in 1 week, you cannot get 50 hours in 1 week for only one subject. When you're attributing equal amount of time, that could save you from all this hustle and stress and, as you said, lamenting about it. I also advise, it's not always possible, but if the discipline is the first in your list, this is what I did when I was studying at university, and I still advise this to my students. So, for example, if you have 2 hours or 3 hours of your first class, just try to plan to come half an hour earlier, 45 minutes earlier. Sit down, open up, and brush up what was there, how well you're prepared, what the class will start. So that this warming up that we are doing would be the most appropriate and would be like you feel you are prepared, you feel you committed, you feel you dedicated, you feel you did all those things together. So how much more efficient any class would be. Okay, if you have like 5-6 classes per day. That wouldn't be possible because you have the schedule. But if this is something that you really prioritize and prefer, and you want to dedicate your professional career or, I don't know, whatever interest, this is what I'm doing, for example, with my German class. So when I have a class planned, so I just book the whole hour before this to get prepared and to do the writing, to recollect the word meanings, to try to watch a video or do the home task again, but aloud, for example. Yeah, okay, this is language study, but I still get myself warmed up, prepared, ready, and when we start the class, I'm in full capacity to dive into the class and to get the most of it.
Yeah, this being possible, of course, when and if a person dedicates really to this activity, and depending on the length of studies, the intensity of the curriculum, of course, and also depending on the age of a student, because still prioritizing some of the things is possible when it's a short-term course, and then it gets, in my opinion, more doable because we see how long the course lasts and when the final work comes or whatsoever. When it's a long project like 4-year, 3-year university program, then it's very hard to see what comes in 3 years' time. But now a person might be in love, might want to see the person, might want to socialize and go out, depending on age and the leading activities of a certain age. These things are also different. Like it would be when I listen to your advice, I think, oh, wow, that's all great recommendations to people who are starting the course. And I believe most of the people would think, oh, great, I'm definitely going to do that or to try that. But then life happens. And depending on your age, on your hormones levels, on all the life that is happening at the same period of time, it's not only about this course. It's not, there might be many more courses. There might be many more different activities. And not only time management, but also, as we mentioned, agility about things that we've planned. A person might want to take a driver's license at the same time. And the closer the exam, the more concentration and time management would go into that direction. Yeah, that's life. It's so full of different things that hardly ever is it possible to be very consistent with what you think is a good idea to do, even if, and I believe when you think, oh yeah, that's great advice, I definitely am going to put it into life, to put it into action. Then, yeah, coming back from time to time to revising these things and thinking, okay, can I do this now? Can I do this week? Do I still need to invest so much time and energy into this course? Or maybe I've got another course where the exam comes sooner and so on. Yeah. But still without this FOMO, oh, I need to watch the video course again because maybe I've missed something. Yeah, maybe you've missed something. But still there is curriculum and there is life and there are other things to do. So what if you've missed something? It will show your performance in the exam, yes. And then depending on whether being an A student is your highest priority or whether doing other things during the semester or in the week before the exams and so on. Yeah, like being honest with yourself on what you prefer, on what you prioritize, and living your life with all those things said and mentioned.
Having all those things taken into consideration, take your priorities, take your preferences, take your own examples, your own situation, and dedication, time, ownership. if you want to make things happen. This is something that helps us to live and learn, and we wish you the very same.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you share Live and Learn philosophy, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all the major social media, comment, and spread the word about this podcast so that more people could get their weekly portion of growth mindset content. Live and learn.